All right, welcome back to the SilmFilm Script Discussion, Season 3, Episode 3, Part 2. Ooh, we're going to have fun next time. Anyway, we are trudging through this mess of an episode, which is going to be in 3 or 4 different places at different times.
Well,
yeah.
the time thing kind of fudges out in that we are joining Beleriand after Morgoth's return because the orcs are there.
Right.
So the Beleriand stuff is in real time. There might be like a little bit of background in the sense that our episode is focusing on the time of peace in Beleriand that came before all this, but we're seeing it as it's playing out. This is the tail end of the piece. So the timelines aren't really different. They're pretty much all on the same page. Roughly.
So here's my question. Mm-hmm. When do you see the conversation between Manwë and Mandos taking place?
And yet remain evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that, I'm pretty sure, has to be here.
Yeah. So that needs to happen before the Doom of Mandos.
Right. Yeah. And I thought that it was that was a conversation that was going to precede Uinen Storm.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they intended.
Right. And I don't see working as intercut in between slaying of elves and...
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me think.
I have... What we could do is we could open up back in Rivendell.
Mm-hmm.
And have a conversation concerning the disappeared Estelle.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to mirror it's going to be a similar kind of conversation almost.
Right. Estelle has left him without permission.
Right.
The Noldor have left Valinor without permission. It's vaguely similar.
Yeah.
Estelle did kill fewer people on the way out the door, but
a few fewer, yeah. So
like completely none, but other than that, it's totally the same.
0 people, maybe an insect or 2 got stepped on or something.
But the idea is they're concerned for his safety primarily. Yeah. And in Manwë's conversation with Mandos, they're concerned for the Noldor. Like, they're not worried about... Well, that's not true. It's not like they don't care about the Teleri. But they're concerned about the damage the Noldor have done to themselves. Like, that's the main takeaway, is that Manwë is sad for the fall of the Noldor, not just sad for the devastation of a tragedy of the Kinsling.
Yeah. So, thing is that if we do that, we go right to the conversation with Manwë and Mandos with a little too on the note.
Well, it's after a commercial break, so you have the teaser, and then you have the opening credits, and then you go into.
It's not, so that doesn't really help. Well, besides, we're going direct to Netflix anyway, so you're not guaranteed an actual commercial break here.
Right.
So, I don't know if you've noticed that every once in a while you'll watch it. You'll be watching a television show on Netflix or some other streaming service, and it's one of those ones where they reshot the last bit of dialogue from the scene before the commercial break, and so they'll come back in, but the dialogue is clearly from a different take.
Right.
Like the person doesn't say it exactly the same way, so it sounds a little weird. Yeah. we don't have room to make mistakes like that. So what we can do is we would have to cut from that scene to Estelle wandering in the woods and running into Eladan and Elrohir, but not show any dialogue from that scene. Just cut immediately from there to Manwë and Mandos. You can do that.
You can. There's a lot of things we can do in the frame, but they're going to all have to matter this time if the frame is going to be our main story. So we probably do need to actually build a story from beginning to end for the frame instead of just saying, we're going to have a couple scenes here and it's going to be, you know.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Okay, so let's work that out because we know the stuff that we have to have. And we're basically going to be dropping that stuff in. So, but we have to keep in mind that we're trying to see the stuff that's in the main storyline through the lens of the frame, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is gonna be tough. Okay, so things that need to happen in the frame are Eladan and Elrohir meet Estelle and request that he return with them to Rivendell. He refuses and counteroffers that they can join him on his adventures in the wild.
Yeah.
They aren't thrilled with this idea, but figure it's better than nothing. And he is maybe a little too old to be dragged back by force, so they don't want to do that to him either.
Yeah.
And so they're just going to stick around till he sees reason.
Right.
Is the idea. They have to be in the mountains because there's no way there's orcs just roaming through the lands around. I mean, I realize it's pretty empty, desolate lands around Rivendell, but if they're gonna encounter orcs when it's not a raid going on,
he must have traveled north then directly.
Yeah, or well, what I really mean is he went at least a little bit east.
Well, yes, but I think the mountains actually do one of these there, or maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The point is he's in the Misty Mountains.
He can't have gone too far east because otherwise they got to go past Rivendell to go back west, which is where they're going to be heading. So. All right.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So we kind of do need to get him into the mountains and figure out why the orcs run into them, because there are only 3 people traveling, so they're a small group, so that would be a reason for the orcs to try to attack them. But the Sons of Elrond are probably decently well known to the orcs of the Misty Mountains.
Yeah.
I would think, considering Eladan's life goal of killing them all.
Yes. Well, I'm thinking that we use that, if anything, that they actually come across the tracks of a raiding party. And
Eladan's like, well, I'm off on my mission.
Well, here we go. Here's something to do. And he's like, whoa, hold up, buddy. Hey, that little guy that's over there that,
probably isn't supposed to be dragged into orc fights yet.
It's like, yeah, no, it's fine. No big deal. We got this.
Okay, so this is Eladan, the bad babysitter.
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay. I can see that working out as a story in itself.
Yeah.
Now, to tie that into the main story, Estelle is going to be experiencing a bit of a loss of innocence, I guess, in that he sees his first battle. Is that the idea here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a skirmish, it's not a battle. But for him, it would be the first, people actually attacking each other with weapons thing.
Yeah.
So
it's also going to be a relatively small group, too, because, Eladan and Elric have to make very short work of this.
Exactly. Basically, he watches these 2 guys that he knows wipe out a party of orcs. A small party of orcs. Are they going to be accomplishing anything good, like rescuing somebody or recovering some item, or are they just slaughtering orcs?
Well, they could just be on the orcs could be on their way. They could be on their way to the Dunedain village that they're going to go to in the next episode.
Well, I was just wondering if
the orcs could be planning
Okay, so we could do something with that if we had to. So the story arc for Estelle is that he is stubborn and forceful and makes his own choice about what he's doing, but very naive and doesn't know what that choice means.
And he's a little bit out of his element.
Right. And then luckily he's with people who take care of everything for him, which is not usually what you want to happen with your protagonist.
Right.
So something needs to happen in that orc fight that involves him.
Right. Well, he is clearly unprepared.
Right.
Which is the impression that we're going to get from from the Doriath.
Right.
Bit.
Unpreparedness for an orc attack.
Right.
So that'll tie into Beleg. So we'll be comparing Estelle and Beleg in the final scene,
yes,
kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. That fits.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to get there.
So what we're going to be doing to tie all this together is we're going to have to be intercutting scenes with Estelle and Elladan and Elro here.
Okay. Would there be any reason that Elladan and Elro here would be talking about Beleriand during any of this?
I mean, they could.
They're too young to have ever been there, but they know about it.
Yes. Right. Obviously, they've heard of it.
So would there be any reason they would bring that up to Aragorn while they're out in a 16-year-old kid who's out on his first journey beyond the walls of Rivendell?
Well, if they found traces of an orc raiding party, or a scouting party, let's say it's a scouting party.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's smaller.
Yes, it makes more sense for what we're accomplishing here.
Right. Then while they're trying to hunt them down, it can come up that, like, he can ask them. Well, I guess he's got to know why they hate the orcs so much.
Well, I can't imagine that Elrond talks about his missing wife all that often.
That's true.
And probably they don't talk about their sort of dead mom very often either, because they're still upset about this. As far as we know, they've never mentioned that they have a sister to this guy. So, I mean,
the best kept secret in Rivendell.
Seriously, like, how did no one say anything in 20 years? Like, by the way, Elrond has a daughter.
Sister, so you have a twin sister.
Exactly. It's like, how do people hide these things? Oh, well.
Well, okay. So what he could ask is, have the orcs always been evil? Because we spent all that time talking about how
Melkor wasn't evil from the beginning.
Right. Nothing is evil in the beginning. We spent all that time doing
Okay, so how about this? They're just like out in the woods doing normal stuff for at least a little bit, like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Before there's any discovery of the trace of the orcs. And then once they have the trace of the orcs, Elladan would make some comment about, evil vermin filth, blah, 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 blah. Elvish curse. Insert Elvish curse here. And basically just completely say, depraved, no good, evil beings.
Yeah.
And that reminds Estelle of the, well, wait, nothing was evil from the beginning. Is that, like your dad always says, nothing was evil from the beginning. Is that true of orcs too?
Right. Which can
that
can bring us into the Angband scene.
Yeah. Because then it's like, how did orcs become so evil? Like,
ta-da,
let us show you.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a little contrived, but it shows that Estelle was a good student, so that's not a bad thing.
Right.
And it shows that Eladan is so out of line that even the 16-year-old kid calls him out on it.
Right. Well, it could be that, and it could be he's kind of looking for a hole in stuff that Elrond's taught him, in a way.
Ah, okay, yeah. A kid saying, "Well, wait a minute. What about?" Yeah.
So everything my teacher told me was not necessarily true, eh?
Yeah. So Elro here would be left to defend his father's point of view and curb his brother's point of view. Poor Elro here. So Elro here is the voice of reason, which I think we've established is going to be true.
Yes.
Okay.
That's doable.
All right. So I think we can use the frame to tie the episode together. I think that's a thing that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we just are going to have to do some abbreviated montage-like stuff to get everything in the episode that we want. Like Days of Peace in Doriath, like you're going to get one song and dance, and like you're going to get like one party scene.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Yep.
So make the most of that minute and a half of television, because that is awesome. The glory days of Beleriand.
Yep, right there. All right. I'm going to try to map this out as we're going, so that I keep track of what scenes we have.
Right, because now this is going to require some juggling.
Yes. All right.
Okay. So we know we want to begin with the frame.
Right.
And then go to the Valinor stuff.
All right.
Come back to the frame, and then go to Angband.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense so far.
Well, no, we can't go directly to Angband.
From the frame?
From the frame. We not right away. We're going to get there, but that's going to be later on. That's like
this is it. That would be like the second frame piece.
That's like an act 2 thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. We're going to have open with the frame, Valinor stuff, frame again, Angband stuff.
Well, what I'm saying is that we need something to contextualize the storm and the conversation between Feanor and Fingolfin from the frame point of view. So we need a few more dips into this.
I mean, I am of the opinion that taking that scene as far as the conversation between Feanor and Fingolfin is taking it too far. Like, I realize that was the next scene that has to happen, but I don't feel like it belongs in this episode at all. I realize they asked for it, but I would much rather delay it to a later episode.
Right. Well, yeah, because it kind of resolves. That was kind of my issue, is that they had created an episode arc within the episode in the first act.
Yeah.
Of the episode, if not first two acts of the episode.
Yeah. And that's I was fine with doing the Valar centric thing at the beginning, because it's like, oh well, this is a different perspective on it. We're not following the Noldor anymore. But to return to the Noldor and then leave them again after one scene, it's like, no, don't do that.
Well, the only problem is that that's kind of like that explains where we are after the storm, though.
It does, but I think meanwhile in Valinor, meanwhile in Ahriman, will be sufficient to...
Here's the issue. For the storm to have weight, for there to be peril in the storm, we need to spend at least 5 minutes in the storm itself.
Right, because we have to like see an actual ship sink and everything.
Like, there has to be consequences. And there have to be words. Like, people need to say things. Otherwise, we don't care that happened. So we can't view that from 6 miles high. Like, we need to be there.
No, I'm fine with showing up close and personal with the ships, but the storm at least starts from Uinen's perspective, which is all I meant. Like, the Valar perspective thing, the Valar can be right up close and personal, but the beginning point is... Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take another break real quick. We'll be back in a little bit if you're watching this live. If you're watching this later on in the future, definitely like and share the videos if you like and want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. We'll be back in a minute.